I'm Matt Martelli. I'm here with my other brother from another mother. We're going to keep switching this up. Jim Beaver and our new friend, Anthony Morra. What's up, man?
How's it going, guys? How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Doing good. So you've been here. We were talking before we went to air, but so you've been here already since what, last Thursday?
So my crew and I rolled in on, I think it was Saturday early mornings when we got here.
Oh, Saturday? Okay.
Yeah, so not too long, but it's been long.
You're out of Colorado, though, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So
hasn't been too bad. I mean, we actually missed a huge snowstorm, though. I guess my mother-in-law woke up to about 2 feet of snow at our house, so we got everything loaded and got here safely before all that hit. So it was kind of great to make sure we made it here on time. You know what I mean? So it was cool. But
yeah. So how'd you get into the truck building business?
So I started doing the whole truck building stuff. I think honestly, like when I was like super young, like I was way young, I started it. It was always like a passion, and like I started with like the whole AutoZone, little light strips on my stuff, and wired stuff to this, and spray painted this, and kind of just what I could balled on what kind of budget I had. And then as I got older and found different companies and industries and kind of seeing what worked and what didn't work, started growing it into something better. So
yeah, you went from doing your own stuff, then your buddies would call, hey, will you wire in these lights for me? And
yeah, dude. So I'm an Army veteran. So I did 8 years active duty Army. I'm currently serving for the National Guard. So I'm a mechanic by trade from that aspect of life. And so I started my whole business, Elevated Motorsports. I came to SEMA for the first time in 2019. And for me, I kind of just I seen everything. I seen the industry, and I was like, this is something I definitely want to get into. And I kind of just started doing my own thing, and here I am today. So it's kind of cool, like where I came up from, kind of little thing like that. So,
well, was there a big did somebody kind of help you in the door? Was there a big scene in Colorado with trucks?
Not really. So I mean, we had a truck club. It was like Street Scene Truck Club back in the day. A bunch of buddies. We were like, oh, let's call it something, and we all kind of just went from there. And we're like, yeah, we'll do truck stuff. We'll do our wheels. We'll do this. Start lighting this. It was kind of crazy how we all kind of started, and then some of us stuck with it. Some of us didn't. That's kind of how it kind of ended up, honestly. So I mean, I'm originally from California, but I had orders from Germany to Colorado. It's kind of where I stayed. So that's kind of where I'm from.
So
now.
At what point down this path did you go, oh man, this is actually like a career move here? I'm going to be in the truck building business.
So that kind of came to light last year. So last year, I spoke to Trucker a little bit, Chris Payne. I was like, hey man, how does this whole build management thing work? Like, how do I do it? He's like, dude, it's a pain. It's going to be a long process. And he goes, you're going to get stressed out. And so I was all right, I'll give it a shot. So last year we did 5 builds with Elevated Motorsports. We started a business, and we were just build management at that point. We didn't really have an idea of how we were going to go from there. I was, I'll just manage builds. That's cool, whatever. And so this year, I had a buddy, Dale Hobson, moved down from California. He's a badass mechanic, super squared away. And I've had my other buddy, Andrew Van Arloo, also join on. He was also part of that truck club that I talked about. So we kind of went from there, and they just kind of both followed me on this dream. And so Dale moved down this year, and we ended up doing 15 builds. We managed 15 builds this year, and we did 4 in-house builds in our own shop this year. So it's our own shop, have our own building now. So it kind of just grew, went like wildfire pretty much. Kind of just took off.
That's really cool. I mean,
yeah.
Again, we were talking about it in the other podcast. So people that just have a passion for this, and they find a way to, make this a career.
Right. And that's kind of how we do it. And I'm hoping for me this year. So I'm also, my full-time job, I'm a sergeant with the Department of Corrections out of Colorado. That's my full-time job. And so I also do this on the broader, also as my business, you know what I mean? So for me, I'm hoping to kind of put that law enforcement, my law enforcement history in the past, and kind of focus on this. I kind of just move this forward is kind of what I want to do. So as we grow, hopefully I can do this full time. It's kind of my.
Well, it's a big step to all of a sudden having your own shop. You know what I mean?
Right,
it's you manage bills when you have your own shop and you got the overhead and you got some guys helping you. There's salaries. I mean, and you talking about doing 5 builds in house. That you guys have done. It's like full truck builds, man. People don't realize what goes into doing a build. I've got 3 builds going on this year. You know what I mean? And I'm about 1.5 way through it. It's like, people have no idea when you commit to doing a full, and I don't mean just bolting on a few things, but a full build, it's a massive undertaking.
Right, and was it 2 of the builds that we did in-house, we took them to the frame. One of our customers asked us to paint the frame, so we painted the frame, redid it black. My guys spent, 2, 3 in the morning, like pulling apart axles, getting axles ready for powder coat, rebuilding axles, all that stuff. Like all my guys did that. Like also while I work graveyards, my guys are in the shop working at night. I come in the morning, get a couple hour nap. I hop back in it again and helping them out too. So I mean, it's a full on process, and we have a pretty good powder coater out of Colorado right now too. Mod Finishes, they helped us out a lot of stuff as well. We also heavily use Zach and Lacy out of Texas, BCC Customs. So I love Zach and Lacy. They've been great friends, and they also kind of inspired me to do this whole thing as well too. I mean, everything Zach does, he puts his whole heart and soul into it, and that's kind of like that passion, that drive is kind of what like also helps me reach for the next step and grab that next goal. You know what I mean? So, well,
it's cool how people like Zach and Lacy influence other people to get into this.
Yeah, and they're awesome people. Like they are when they say they're influencers, they are influencers, and Zach does because out of his passion, and Lacy they're just both awesome people. You know what I mean? They're just someone to look up to for sure.
Yeah, well, and Lacy will be on the show tomorrow. But
okay, cool.
It's funny. I tell Lacy, I'm like, sometimes I hate you, and I said you're literally the worst time sink. I go I don't care about all the stuff you post except for when you go and powder coat wheels. And she shows the process, going from nothing. And I'll sit there and watch these reels for hours. Here's Lacy powder coating this thing hot pink with a chrome. And I was it's an addiction to watch, because you get the payoff at the end, seeing the final product.
It's almost therapeutic.
Yes, exactly.
It's almost therapeutic. That's what it is. You sit there my wife will sit there and watch, YouTube and reels all night, whatever, and watch Lacy stuff. And, I'm good friends with Ryan, Work for It Apparel, if you guys ever heard of that, out of California as well. And all his stuff too. It's always pretty therapeutic just to watch their process and what they're doing, So
I think that's one of the big things with social media now. It's finding that thing where people go and it's the retention and and it's watching and obviously you guys. I mean new shop startup. I know how you've had to play the social media games, trying to figure out how do we grow the shop, how do we get that recognition, and it's what's the farthest away you've done a build for? Is it all local to Colorado, or have you done?
So all the builds that we did this year, we did 2 out of Colorado, and then the one was from Arizona.
Okay.
He brought his truck down to us, dropped it off. It was pretty much hey guys, this is my budget. Here's my truck. I don't want to see it till pick me up in the airport October 28th. I was you don't want to see it at all? I was no, just do it. So we got to design it full on ourselves, kind of what he already had before, and we kind of just amplified it into something crazy. And so he showed up October 28th from the airport in Springs. We picked him up, and then he had his little reveal pretty much at the airport, and he was ecstatic. And that was Dakota Weingard out of Lieutenant LML is his Instagram handle, out of Arizona. So he loved that truck. So.
Have you had a build yet? And I know you're still relatively new to it.
Right.
Have you had a build yet where you're okay, this is the dopest thing I've ever done?
Yeah, actually, that would probably be our 2022 F350 we did for Damian Gonzalez out of Colorado. His truck came in SEMA last year. It was with Bodyguard. He wanted to go again this year, so we pretty much had a black and white theme. We took it down. We did a Illusion Tropical Fusion for the axles, suspension. We put a Wicked kit on there. We just did everything on it, wheels, tires. And that, honestly, when we sat back and looked at it, was probably the dopest thing I've ever done, honestly.
Yeah.
I've done, me and my wife, we did SEMA 2021 as a couple. She had a 12-inch lifted Tahoe. I had a 21 Duramax AT4. And they're all matchy husband and wife vibes. And that was cool. But now that we have our own shop and we're doing our own thing, it's kind of opened our eyes, and it's that's the baddest thing I've ever done. You know what I mean? So.
What does it do? Explain to people what it does for you as a shop when you come and you display your vehicle here, and especially if you end up, winning one of the prizes from one of the different builds that you can win prizes from.
I mean, so for us, it helps us out a lot because it's one, we work, no one sees the behind the scenes stuff. No one sees a lot of people do social media, whatever, whatnot. But no one sees that the late nights, the cussing and screaming in the shop, your guys stolen tools because they're pissed. No one sees that behind the scenes stuff. And so for us to get a vehicle here and get it displayed at SEMA, and do it 2 years in a row now, and then actually have our own build in our own shop, that to me just shows us hey, we're doing something right. And when we see, the public come in here and taking pictures and they're calling underneath it and they're looking, you're like, oh God, what are they going to find? But, at the end of the day, you're just holy crap, I built that. That's what we did. We knocked it out of the park. And like I said, I have an awesome group of guys that I work for me, and they're killer. They're there every time. They're always there on time. They bust their ass, and it's great to know. But, yeah.
Did you think, though, coming up as a, enthusiast, somebody who's into trucks and into builds, you were going to make it here?
I mean, no. I still don't think that either. Dude, every day for me is I don't want to put myself down either, but every day is different. Every year is different. Every year someone else is doing something wild. And I learned too, you can't sit there and you can't watch and think about what everybody else is doing. You got to do your own thing. And to be here and to actually get here for me has been great. But I didn't think I'd make it this far, but so far so good, and we're killing it. So I'm happy with it.
I can tell you what, I'm 12, 13 years into making a living in this industry, and every day I still go, am I going to have a job next year? So I'm just being honest with you. Matt will probably say the same thing. There's no, and I think that's why, a guy that's created something from scratch, like I have, like Matt has, like you have. It's you know what it's like to be on the other side. So there's that grind and that drive. It's there's no independently wealthy bank account. You know what I mean? There's no bailout. You got to hustle.
Right. With me picking up sergeant recently for DOC, I got into a little bit higher pay bracket. So my wife's like, dude, are you sure you want to quit? I'm like, yeah, I want to quit. This is working in a prison. And seeing some of the stuff I've seen, I'm like, dude, I'm done with law enforcement. I did the military side. I've done the law enforcement side. I'm ready to live my life and kind of do my passion. She's like, are you sure we're going to make it? I'm like, hey, I haven't failed us so far. We've been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is nerve-wracking to know, and then obviously you get into politics and you're just like, oh God, where are we going to be tomorrow? And, you just can't. You just got to stay focused and stay driven, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's funny because we have a lot of friends who are in law enforcement, right? And obviously, the recent climate has not made it fun to be a law enforcement officer.
No, and it's not. And it's for me working inside. I don't have anything but my wits.
Yeah,
that's the only tools I have is my wits, and so it's yeah, I think I'm done. I'm over it. I've seen a lot of stuff, and I'm ready to walk away and do my own passion, do my own drive. So.
Well, it's funny because we have a lot of military and law enforcement and off-road racing, right? And those guys, come over because it's this creative outlet where they're like, man, I need something to be creative and feel good about. And, we see those guys have really good success because they come from a background of discipline,
right?
Of hard work and all those types of things. And I think they also have a perspective because they're like, the world is a tough place.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so when you can have this as this is the bubble you're living in, it's pretty damn rad.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah.
Like I say, you got no jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those things where it's it doesn't feel like a job because, you're enjoying what you do.
And that's how you should live your life, too. I feel like, too. If you get into something that you love and once you get into it and you do it, you run with it and you go. No one wants to do that 9 to 5, that boring life. And I get it. Some people have to, and I understand that. And I respect the hustle and the drive also. But, sure. If you can get into something that you honestly feel like you can run with and start your own business and do it, I'd say do it every time.
Has there been maybe as a TV show or just another builder that kind of you saw and you're like, man, what that guy's doing is dope. If I can do that, I want to try.
So that going back to it all over again. So that would be, but for me, it would be Zach.
Yeah.
Zach is one of them, too. And if you're talking about TV shows, I used to watch Moto Trend all the time. I watched all those little shows like Extreme 4x4 and all those guys growing up as a kid. And I was like, man, these are awesome. And that's kind of where I got that passion from. And then, I tinkered in the garage with my grandpa, when he was a mechanic. I mean, it's kind of the same concept, but yeah, I mean, it would influencer wise, like shop wise, it would definitely be Zach.
Yeah,
that was definitely like my thing. Like everything he pulls out of that shop is amazing.
Yeah, it's
so
cool.
It's goals.
We were hanging out yesterday with Aaron Kaufman, and like he's a pretty humble guy for the impact that he's had, and we were talking about his future and all this stuff, and I said, man, I go, you got to go forward and do more content with the platform that you've built on, because it's not just your money and what you're doing for yourself, it's the influence that you're having over all these other people. And I think that we need more of that.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I agree too. Like, and there's a lot of like younger kids too that look up to like influencers, and also like I feel like if you're an influencer, you should always have good example also. Yeah. Because I mean, like you're setting the path of success for other people. You know what I mean? And I think it's pretty awesome as well. So, but yeah, man.
Racing against your dad is something that 90% of the racers in the world will never get.
I've accomplished everything I wanted to do, and now he's just like taking the reins. I want to be remembered for being a huge part of short course, not just racing, keeping it alive, helping it grow. If it comes down to the last weekend and I'm in it, the boys better watch out.
Have you got to walk around SEMA at all and see some of the other builds?
So we got to walk around a little bit. Tomorrow, I think, is our day to kind of like walk around. We had to fix a couple things from our customers that we just managed. They showed up and there's like, hey, man, the shop didn't have time to do this and that. So my guys have a pack-out box, a Milwaukee pack-out box, walking around, and they're tinkering on the builds for the other customers that and they're up late at night on their trucks, wiring rock lights and doing stuff for these customers that we manage for, because not only are we in management, we do the shop thing too. So got to make sure everything comes out pristine. And I said, for me, I want to push for quality over quantity. I mean, you could have 100 trucks here, that's cool, but if I have 20 trucks here that are pristine and that are spot on, and they represent my business and the other businesses that they got built by, that's what I want.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I want to do.
That's cool. Have you seen any builds here from other builders that you're like, that's pretty amazing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've seen a couple already that I've like. That are just out of the world. I know there's one that came out of, I want to say it was Tweedy's Tire Shop in Texas. They did that black and gold, like I think it's a 05 Duramax body style. It's all engraved and everything. I think it's in the JTX booth, I believe, and that was pretty awesome because I mean, I only have done the lifted truck shows, but I also do some of the like the lowrider stuff. My wife and I are really good partners with Renegade Detail Products out of California, and then Rami and everything. So we do a lot of the lowrider stuff with them as well. So I mean, there's a lot of different trucks that are here. I don't favor any kind of vehicle. I love all vehicles, so it's kind of like that thing for me.
You think the lowrider stuff's making a comeback? Because it went away for a while. I mean, you look at like early 2000s and man, like late 90s, early 2000s. Lowriders and even in the 90s were huge, and it's like kind of went away. You didn't see Slam Silverados and F-150s anymore, and it's like, but I've started seeing a little bit of it start to creep back, I feel like.
So I think so, honestly. So last year we marketed a build for a buddy of mine named Sergio out of Colorado. Him and his dad built I think it was a 2015 GMC 1500 on a 12-inch Cognito kit, but him and his dad kind of changed it up a little bit. So what they did was they were like, hey, like we're going to do a lifted truck, but we're going to throw a lowrider theme on it. So the whole truck has been was custom painted, flaked out, layered, everything. Him and his dad did it. So it looks like a lowrider up top, but it has that lifted truck aspect of it. And it's been a killer truck. I mean, it's done really good. He always places at shows. But, I definitely think the lowrider scene is coming back. Well, and it's good to see it come back, too, because it's a good culture. And, and when it comes to, not to cut you off, to cut you off, but when it comes to, like groups of people, because you have your truck people, your car people, your whatever, but I think the lowrider community, in my own personal opinion, is the most humblest and the most connected family unit when it comes to the car scene.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in San Diego. I'm in Oceanside, right?
Okay, yeah.
So we just had Diodos Moros, right? And they have a car show during Diodos Moros, and they bring out like the old lowriders, right? And so there's stuff that's like 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. 60s, 70s, and you walk around, you see these cars, and the amount of time and effort and detail that it's put into some of these cars. I mean, they are absolute works.
And they're literally rolling works of art, like you said. It's literally like it's art on a vehicle. Like it's nothing's missed.
Yeah,
The frame.
One of the kids that I grew up with, his grandfather was one of the best upholsters in all of automotive.
Right.
And he's down in Chula Vista, and it's like, you go down there and you're on a wait list, but he does stuff that's just mind blowing, and
Right.
it's always for lowriders. Like, the last time I was down there's been quite some time, and he had just finished like this whole tuck and roll with ostrich skin.
Jeez.
Right? For the inside of
Right.
this lowrider. And it was like the colors and everything matched perfectly. It just made sense. It looked dope. But it's like, who else would, go, hey, you know what? I think we need an ostrich skin seat.
Right, yeah.
Only lowriders,
Yeah,
right?
no, for
It was
sure. Absolutely.
badass.
Yeah, it's killer.
I do know that I was on PRP's website the other day, and they do have an ostrich skin option for one of their seats. Like
Really?
when you do the PRP customs.
The-
I don't know any off-road guy that's got an ostrich skin suspension seat yet, but PRP can do it.
Maybe we do a lowrider Cowie build for the next build, right?
Dude, I'm all about it.
Cool.
Do they have green ostrich skin? I don't know.
Just slam it, and that's what I was like. I told him, I was like, I want to throw a supercharger in it, and I was like, slam it, and I was like, just drift stick and do something different,
Yeah. It'd be rad to get hydros in it, right? That'd be sick. No,
sick.
I dig it. And then, like, this is a really cool show. It's like, I'm not, I'm the off-road guy. We're off-road guys, right?
Right.
But I also enjoy seeing all the hot rods here and,
I do too.
all the variants. It gives us ideas for the stuff that we're doing,
Right, and it's I think it's an important culture too. It's where we came from.
Yeah.
Everyone grew up watching, the muscle cars and all that stuff. Like we all grew up around that at some point of our lives, and then now we took that aspect of that culture into our own culture and the off-road community, the lifted truck community, all that stuff as well. So I mean, it's definitely
No, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because, like, people don't realize that off-road racing started with hot rods, right? In that same era in Southern California. And it was a lot of the same engine builders, same manufacturers,
right.
A lot of crossover. So it's cool, to be at the SEMA show and see, all these different kind of like this giant melting pot of automotive.
Right. No, I mean, and I agree. It's definitely awesome for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to like cruising around and seeing more. Thanks
Right.
for chatting up with
for
us.
sure, guys. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
All right.
Right on that.
All right.
Thank you. Cool.
Thanks
Thank you,
for-
guys.
Take it easy, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks. Right on.